Gentlemen, we will start with the technology keynote, Building Your Digital Transformation Blueprint. This session is brought to you by Cisco Systems, the digital transformation partner for INFOCOM 2017. We are very privileged to have in our midst today technology keynote speaker, Mr. Lakshmi Narayan Rao, Director and Leader, Digital Transformation Office, Cisco India and SOC. But before I welcome him onto the dais, a few words to introduce him. As leader of digital transformation initiatives, Mr. Laks Rao and his team drive the digital transformation agenda for Cisco and help customers define their digital journey and chart out the transformation roadmap across various verticals such as healthcare, manufacturing, BFSI, retail, smart cities, etc. Prior to joining Cisco, Mr. Laks Rao was the CTO for enterprise business and leader for HPE Future Cities initiatives. He was also the marketing director for Jamcracker Inc., responsible for managing global channels. Prior to that, Mr. Rao was the channel leader for Lotus WPLC portfolio at IBM South Asia and business leader for Value Solutions portfolio at Canon Singapore. He has over 25 years of experience in multifarious roles spanning IT hardware and software solutions, sales, channel management, product support, pre-sales, competency development, and customer service in organizations such as IBM, Canon, and Xerox. He has been awarded the prestigious IDC Award for Excellence in Innovation for the year 2015 and Best CTO Digital Transformation for the year 2015-16 by Tech Plus Media. He has also won the coveted Technology Evangelist of the Year and industry recognition for 3 years in a row. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our keynote speaker, Mr. Lakshmi Narayan Rao. Sir.
Digital transformation isn't just a strategy anymore. It's a necessity, and it's changing the way businesses thrive. Successful companies will be the ones that create cool new experiences for customers, that empower employees to be more innovative and efficient, and that transform processes and business models to respond swiftly in the market. Meeting these demands will require companies to embrace digital transformation. With millions of endpoints needing to be connected, data to be analyzed, and a bigger attack surface, infrastructure will become more complex and difficult to manage manually. To truly embrace digital transformation, you need a digital-ready infrastructure.
Only Cisco has the technology and expertise to build that infrastructure. Not only build it, but make it simple, secure, automated, and intelligent.
We make it simple by providing cloud-ready products and services delivered by a single vendor. Intelligent by providing holistic code to consumer visibility, predictive and prescriptive insights, and automated remediation for self-healing. We make it automated with zero-touch deployment for branch and campuses, fastest private and hybrid cloud deployment, and automated IoT connectivity that increases your efficiency and agility. And our solutions secure your infrastructure end-to-end with the most comprehensive threat intelligence, fastest threat discovery, and highest security effectiveness in the industry. Cisco brings it all together so that you can accelerate your company's digital transformation. Imagine what that will do for your customers, your workforce, and the way your business stays in business. So what are you waiting for?
Morning, everyone. That was a rather generous introduction. I'm really not worthy of all that she said, but just bear with it. You hear digital transformation quite a lot of times, and during this 2 days also you'll hear a lot about digital transformation. For the next 15-20 minutes or so, what I would like to do is actually walk you through the journey of really what is digital transformation, the state of the market, the lay of the land, as they say it. I would also talk to you about, what are the next steps, We hear a lot about digital transformation. When I go back to my office, what do I do next is really what I'll be covering. And we'll see what is actually the risk of not transforming appropriately and in time. It's not a question of if or not, it's a question of when and how. Ladies and gentlemen, it is really here now. I'm thankful to INFOCOM for inviting us to present digital transformation as a story to you, and I'll try and actually have some questions towards the end if time permits. We live in exciting times. The video said it all. I really don't want to bore you with the details, but just actually pay a couple of minutes, a few seconds attention here. 100% of business networks have traffic to malware sites. Whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, whether your CIO says yes or no, fact of the matter is that all of the sites in enterprises, small or large, have access to malware sites. Big data is big. IoT is actually really catching everybody's attention. We had the previous speaker from Accenture touching upon IoT as well. You talk about actually cloud and mobile. Cloud has really become the granddaddy of disruptive technologies, and it's actually here to stay. A few years ago, when we are talking about cloud, there was a lot of talk about, it will not happen and so on. Today, it's actually, all there, it's all pervasive. But this isn't about cloud. This isn't about technology. This is really about, the business aspect to what digital transformation can do and what can happen, what's the risk if you don't go digital. Communications is being redefined actually dramatically. Look at really the stats out here. 50 billion connected devices on the planet by 2020. And this number can actually, get revised only upward in the near future. How many people are there on the planet, ladies and gentlemen? How many people are there on the planet? Your guess? 7 billion? That means we've got actually 7 devices per person on the planet. We're all actually wired probes walking around with giving out a lot of data. There's so much of data that's actually available today. Making meaningful insights is actually what we call a non-creative name as big data. But it's about insights and analytics. I'll touch upon that briefly through my presentation. But that's really what's happening. Autonomous vehicles is big. So there's a whole lot of a disruption that's actually happening across every industry. But hang on, I'll actually share with you more details over here. The dynamics of digital disruption. Now, we talk about digital transformation. The antithesis of transformation is disruption. If you don't transform, someone is actually going to disrupt you. Someone is actually eating the lunch. Never before in the history of industry has there been a situation where you actually had incumbents getting displaced at the rate at which it is happening now. Startups or upstarts, these organizations have actually really been taking away the incumbents' cake in a big way. Why is that so? It is because of this. 2/3 of the CEOs are actually seeing more threats facing their businesses today than 3 years ago. Threat as in actually threat of bankruptcy, threat of actually losing significant market share. And according to IBM, all CXOs identified the risk of industry disruption caused by an unlikely competitor. The operating phrase here is unlikely competitor. It's easy to actually handle competition that you know, but it's very difficult to actually handle a competition that you don't know. An unlikely competitor is actually going to disrupt. That's really what is being quoted here. So what we did was we conducted a study. We conducted a study with a very reputed university in Switzerland, which actually went ahead and got a large number of CEOs into this discussion. The purpose of this survey was to actually find out what's really happening in their respective industries. It included a significant number of leaders from India as well. I'll give you actually, in a nutshell, a little bit of information about this. What we'll also do is, if you're interested in the study after this, my mail ID is actually coming up towards the end. Just write us a mail, and we will actually send you an extract of that. This book is actually available on Amazon, and you'll see that it's actually one of the most coveted books where it's actually recommended for understanding digital transformation. This is actually the survey stats. 941 senior leaders globally, greater than 100 digital disruptors, organizations that have actually disrupted in a significant way. We actually touched upon all of those. And what came up here is just a sampler of what I will say. I can't really share all of the details of the survey here, but I would like to actually walk you through some of the significant ones. Now look at that. That's one key extract from the study. 40% of the market incumbents will be displaced. Dramatic. Take time to actually absorb this, but you don't have to really look too hard. When I presented this slide last year, people would say that, I think it's a little far-fetched. But you can see that actually happening here and now. 3 years is the expected time to disruption, and my personal opinion is that it's actually faster than that. The Wall Street, or actually for that matter, any exchange, does not give more than 3 to 4 quarters for an organization to actually ramp up. If the revenues actually start tanking, it gets accelerated if there is no real transformative thing that's seen. You can actually see the movement of our own stocks as well. For those of you who are interested in the stock market, you may be seeing that, we have suddenly started actually on an upswing, primarily because, we've actually, we are really eating our own dog food. We are implementing all of the stuff that I'm sharing over here today. And there's only 1 in 4 companies that are actively responding, which means only 25% of the organizations know what it is, and they're actually actively responding. You really don't want to be amongst the 75%. You need to actually have an answer to this mass movement that's actually happening in the world. Towards your right, you'll actually see a scale. This is an interesting scale. This talks about all of the sectors. There is no one single segment or vertical that is spared disruption. Every single vertical is there, and the scale there is indicative of the propensity to disruption, which means at the bottom of the scale is the oil and gas sector at 2.5, the least prone to disruption, even that is at 2.5. At the highest, and understandably, and we are seeing that happening right here in the market now, is actually telecom at 4.3. The mean, the average, is actually 3.7, which means every single industry will actually get disrupted in a big way. So this is really, the stats that you'll see. All details are actually in the study. If I fast forward 2 years, we started the study sometime in 2015, but we actually continued with the study, and the recent extract of the study indicates some interesting aspects here. It talks about, the business leaders responding, saying that 49% of the people are actually saying it's already happening. It's grown from 15% to 49%, more than 3 times, where people are seeing that disruption is happening in their respective industries. The transformative impact is again phenomenal. From 0.4%, it's actually gone up significantly to late 30s, and you'll see that actively responding is only 1 in 4. But the movement of the chart from 25 to 31 is actually rather slow, because we believe, a lot of people are still believing that this is just a passing phase. It is not. And why it is not is actually coming up in the next few slides. Quick question. Why do you use Uber? I mean, I just took an example of Uber, but why do we use Uber? Anything? Just some inputs? Convenience, okay. From this side, why do you use Uber? Nothing to convenience, no parking, transparent pricing, all of those things, right? Actually, if you look at, it's the largest taxi organization in the world, mobility transportation to be actually correct. But they don't own a single taxi. That's the state of the market. I won't go, you would have heard about this story time and time again, but we actually went one step deeper. We wanted to understand what is it that really makes organizations like this tick. It's actually something called the combinatorial disruption. I got it right. Combinatorial disruption. There are 3 types of values that it brings in. It's called the cost value. We all know that it actually started off with the cost value, very, very cheap rides. Experience value, we know that it's actually so convenient, you don't have to actually haggle quite a lot. And then you talk about the platform value, where you're using actually the network to offer more services or actually get better. You probably have heard about Uber Eats and stuff like that. So when you really start, double-clicking on each of these things, you'll see that it's about cost, it's about buyer aggregation, it's about actually the convenience, and even for the fleet operators, it's providing a convenient way of actually managing. Price transparency, and this is actually across the board. This is not just to one aggregator. If you take any aggregator and analyze this, this is what you'll actually come up with. Same is the case with the experience value. It's about empowerment, putting the power of the service back into the customer, which is actually a big, big problem today, right? Services are offered, but the organizations actually take a very nonchalant view of their customers. Whoever actually treats customers well, you can see that it's actually resulting in whatever results it does. And then is actually the platform value, which is about ecosystem, crowdsourcing, communities, and things like that. So this is really the 3 forms of value that are there. And the next slide, we'll talk about those organizations which have sprung up in the recent past that have leveraged this in a very big way. Some of them are actually from India as well. Look at the names here. The cost value disruption, those are the names, the experience value disruption, and the platform value disruption. All of that actually has got one underpinning value, and that is digital. We are here talking about, getting close to the customer. And what exactly is digital? Bear with me. I'll actually walk you through this now. It's about creating a better experience through simplification, through automation, optimization, and scale. So you talk about actually something called a seamless scale. And one important element that actually is not there, but it's so ubiquitous now that we need to talk about it actually anyways, is about security. Most of these devices are actually potential Trojan horses to actually wreak havoc on your system. If you're building something without actually, considering security, that's actually, a very grave mistake. We really need to look at, a very, very strong network. We need to look at a very strong security layer to actually ensure that all of your devices are not potential Trojan horses to actually cause disruption in your system. So the next few slides you'll run through, and you'll actually see what it is all about, how they've actually come and taken center stage in our lives. Simplification. One button, smart city. You talk about actually simplification. Then you talk about account opening. You hear a lot of buzz today about actually how you can open an account actually, almost without really having to visit the branch and digitally. Zero button, hospitality. It's already happening today. You can actually walk into a hotel seamlessly through the basis, through your cell phone. In fact, actually, this is one of the greatest enablers of disruption. So you can actually walk in and then, get into your room. Everything is actually, pre-prepped for you. Automotive, auto scheduler, you really don't have to actually get a lot of pesky telemarketing calls saying that you're due for a service and all that. The vehicle decides when it is due for a service and then actually schedules it automatically with the systems there. You're actually optimizing everything. You're providing cost, value, speed, and precision to the whole engagement, which is the reason why it's very, very difficult to argue with a digital value proposition. It's very difficult for any organization to say that I won't do it, because everybody else is actually doing it. And then the startups have actually redefined the way of engaging with customers in a better way, more convenient, and much more friendlier. So how will we actually win in the digital vortex? For the incumbents, those organizations that are commanding market share today, those organizations are actually grappling with this now. But they are actually not positioned very well. Let me just actually elaborate on this chart a little bit now. On the left side, you'll actually see innovation, agility, experimentation, and risk. Needless to say, these are the values of startups. Startups actually, are high on innovation. They can take those risks. They have the agility to actually change anything and, be market ready. Large organizations actually find it difficult. You can't really make the elephant dance, right? So you actually see innovation, agility, and experimentation and risk as actually the advantages. So the green bars that you see actually, understandably, are scoring high for all those reasons. Look at the incumbents, which is the blue bars. What are their advantages? What is actually, advantages for them? Their ability to raise capital in the market. They're a large brand. They're able to actually generate capital in the market. Their brand value is immense. The brand equity actually, commands a lot of value. And customers. They have the customers. It's all about actually, having the link or engagement with the customers. And if you thought this was actually polarized this way, with the North Pole and the South Pole and they don't meet, think again. Look at actually what's happening in this space. The ability to raise capital, did I say, is actually, the forte of the established organizations? Think again. 170 plus unicorns. That's 30% of the organizations that actually, scaled up to $1 billion. That actually happened in the last year plus. Look at actually brand, Bitcoin. Everywhere you actually talk about today, it's about Bitcoin and the value and the disruption that it will actually bring in. These are some sample examples, but there could actually be many more. And then you talk about actually last mile or customers. The hold on the customers is actually something that is redefined. You have Alipay there, which scaled up to 400 million customers in about 18 months or so. Closer home, you have Paytm that actually went from zero to really large share in a small amount of time. So the ability to actually have meaningful value to customers is actually that is no longer actually the value of an incumbent. It's actually getting eroded very, very fast, which is the reason why in the C-suite, amongst the leaders of the businesses, they are actually thinking, what can I do to ensure that I don't lose share or worse still, file for bankruptcy? It's important. It's something that you actually carry back today. If there's one thing you carry back today, it's just the fact that transformation is here and it's happening. I need to partner with the right kind of partner that will help me actually do this fact. Companies must build digital business agility. How do you actually, get into digital transformation? It's all nice. I've set the tone. I've said this. The previous speaker talked about $1 trillion of business opportunity and things like that. But how do I actually, transform myself? What is it that I do when I get back to my office? When I sit down and start planning for my next year, what are the things that I need to do? It's about building digital business agility. Notice one interesting thing here. We are not talking technologies here. I'm not even actually, hazarding talking about actually, infrastructure and all of those things. Fact is that it's about hyper-awareness. It's about, informed decision-making. It's not an analytics layer I'm talking about. I'm talking about actually a holistic decision-making ability, and it's about fast execution. How quickly can you actually scale to the market requirements and transform the product? I mean, gone are the days when actually, organizations took about, 3-4 quarters to come up with a new product. Particularly in the mobile phone segment, you've actually seen that disruption is instantaneous. If you don't come up with a product response actually instantaneously, chances are that you'll actually be out of the market. 1 quarter of delay can actually put businesses really out of the market. I don't want to quote examples here, but you all know what I'm actually referring to here. But what is digital transformation? It's about application of IT. It's true application of IT to implement innovative business models, better way of reaching your customers. Operational improvement, which is doing better, whatever you're doing better. Actually, the IT industry has been doing this for more than 2.5 decades very, very well. It's about process improvement. It's actually about optimization and things like that, but doing it actually in a very, very systematic way, and that have the potential to disrupt entire industry. So digital transformation is essentially about you having an underpinning IT layer that will help you actually reach to your customers better. Let me just actually double-click further on this. It's basically about what we call as the digital-ready infrastructure, and which is simple, which is intelligent, automated, and secure. So on the phone, think about it. If I actually told you that 4 years ago, without having a voice contact, you could actually hail a cab on the phone or order for food on the phone, you would have actually said, yeah, but that's okay. That's actually going to be an outlier. It'll never become core to my requirement ever. But look at it today. It's changed. Food tech has changed. I mean, I can keep on going on about these examples. There are too many of them, but these are all actually things that are changing or disrupting the industry. It's offering convenience to you and me, which is really the point. It's about customer experience. So we came up with a business architecture. We said we'll call it the Cisco Digital Business Architecture, and we kind of actually, we analyzed really what is it that are outcomes. What are the values that are actually there which will help people to become digitally transformed. Right at the top, and I won't go into all of the details, but right at the top here, you'll see these 4 values. When we unravel the digital transformation, the whole black box of digital transformation, the first thing, and the foremost thing, and rightfully so, is customer experience. You'll have to actually find a better way of actually, reaching your customers, handling your customers, and servicing your customers. Customer experience trumps everything else on digital transformation. So it's not just about putting a skin or actually providing a mobile application. It is not that. It's about actually revamping your systems to actually understand and listen to your customers better. It's about workplace optimization. We got a huge advantage. We got the demographics advantage, right? The digital dividend, as we call it. A large number of people within the country now are actually very young. It's a big, big advantage that we have. Should we squander that away? They're all coming into workforce now, and they actually think completely differently. The millennials actually are the Gen Y. Their approach to work is actually different. So we need to actually have workplaces that invite them to actually give out their best, to be productive and engage with actually people of their ilk much better. The third thing we talk about is process efficiencies, something that actually IT has been doing for a long time. And finally, the governance, risk, and compliance angle. Now, each of these topics actually needs a double click, but time is we don't have the time for that today. But I'm here if you'd like to actually understand any of these things in detail. My mail ID is there, and I'm physically here for the next 2 days. We can actually get into a short conversation right here, or actually come and meet up in your office. The business of keeping the business in business is important. That's tongue twisting. The business of keeping the business in business, which is keeping it secure, is critical. So you'll have to actually ensure that security is an underpinning layer for everything that you're designing. Ladies and gentlemen, cybersecurity is critical because the next thing that will actually bushwhack any organization is a security threat. Not only it actually means that you lose whatever value, you'll also actually erode your brand equity in a very, very big way if you don't take consideration of these. So this is really what we call as the CDBA. More about that when we actually meet at your office. But where do I start? This is actually our approach to the whole thing. We conduct a workshop. We actually look at, near term, mid-term, and long term. It's not a flip the switch. I can't say that, I've actually gone digital in 1 quarter. There is a systematic approach to it. There is a way in which you are actually going to go through this journey, and this is really one of the outcomes of this workshop. We've done actually a host of use cases. Don't worry, don't bother reading it. Actually, I just want to show you the level of transformation that can be possible to so many processes across all the verticals. We got 43 services, our workflows that can actually be very well digitized. So this comes to the last slide, and I'm actually bang on time. How can we compete and win in the digital world? It's listening to the customers. Finally, it's back to the customers. It's about speed and endurance. How do I actually put agility in my response to the customers and my response to the market? and it's about investing to the future. Innovation. You need to actually have innovation as a very, very strong engagement model within your organization. You'll have to actually, have an innovation cell thinking about, better ways of actually modifying your product or reaching your customers. And this is actually going to be a key differentiator between success and failure going forward. Finally, it's always been the case that partnerships are critical, but it's much, much more relevant now. You need to have a very thriving, vibrant, supportive ecosystem. It should be complementing your efforts, there should be synergies, and your ecosystems and partnerships should actually work very, very well hand in hand, which means, I don't want to start off another tech session on this, but you need to actually, if you're building products, you need to look at those which can interact with each other. There should be interoperability between systems. If you're consuming products, make sure you don't go for closed systems. Make sure that you actually have the ability to, connect through your system to another system, because the future is all about this. So ladies and gentlemen, with this, I would like to actually conclude my talk, but leaving with you the strong, singular message that transformation is here more closer than you think. Transformation is about 4 key aspects. It's about customer experience, it's about employee experience, it's about keeping the business in business, and it's about actually enhancing process efficiencies. With that, I would like to actually conclude my talk over here. Do write to me at this mail ID if you want an executive summary or an extract of the digital vortex study that we conducted. With that, I would like to actually conclude here. Thank you so very much. I don't think we have time for a question and answer, do we? We don't? Okay, but I'm around here, so please actually feel free to reach out to me. It's been a pleasure talking to all of you. It's always a pleasure to come to Calcutta. It's very vibrant. It's the intellectual capital of the country, and it's great to be here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lakshmi Narayan Rao. Thank you, sir. We request you to kindly remain on stage for just a couple of minutes.
Sure.
And may I request Mr. Didi Purkas, the Managing Director and CEO, ABP Private Limited, and Chairman INFOCOM, to kindly come forward and present a memento to Mr. Laks Rao. Thank you very much for that very interesting session, and I'll request the delegates present here to put your hands together for Mr. Lakshmi Narayan Rao. Thank you, sir.